Hello everyone, I'm Sela Kim. Welcome to the WDSU Hot Seat, where we continue our debates for the October 14th election. Today we're going to talk about State Senate District 1. It's a large district that covers St. Tammany Parish, St. Bernard Parish, and a sliver of New Orleans. It was a seat held by Sharon Hewitt, who is running for governor. We've got two candidates who qualified for the seat, and both gentlemen are here. Both familiar faces in the legislature. Representative Owen, you represented District 76, and Mr. Ray Garofalo, both Republicans, you represented District 103. Thank you so much for being here. We have lots of questions to get to, so let's start. We'll begin with opening statements, and we'll go alphabetically. So we'll start with you, Mr. Garofalo. In 60 seconds, tell us why you think you are the best candidate for this seat.
Thank you, Sol. It's hard to do in 60 seconds. But I'm a father and a grandfather. I've been in the legislature for 12 years now. I've been an attorney for over 30 years. I'm a former reserve deputy. I worked at Loyola University in an institutional position for over 12 years. I have a lot of work and life experience, not to mention my education experience from law school and everything else, that uniquely qualifies me for this position. I've worked really hard to make sure that we're doing everything we can to address the insurance issues that we have, to address the crime issues, to address education issues. All of those issues are so important that we have to continue doing that. If you look at my legislative career, you can see that not only have I been voting correctly, but I've also been doing the work that a legislator needs to do to make sure that we're addressing those issues. I've brought the bills, I've brought the resolutions, and I've worked really hard to get those through. But on every metric, I'm the most qualified candidate in the race, and I would hope that your viewers would look at my website at www.voteray.com and make up their mind and make an informed decision before they go out and vote.
All right, Mr. Garofalo, thank you. Mr. Owen, tell us in 60 seconds why you think you're the best candidate for this seat.
So when I look at where we are, I look at Louisiana's potential. You know, we have great food, we have great music, we have just great culture in general. We have oil and gas mineral reserves. We have the third largest river system running through our state, emptying into our delta. You know, but we've been held back for so long. It's like we should be the #1 powerhouse in the South, but we're not. And there's some things that we could do to make some big changes going forward, but we're going to need consensus builders. And that's what I have kind of been known to be in the House. And you know, look, we gotta make Louisiana the place that we always wanted it to be. I love Louisiana. It's been a privilege to serve these past 4 years in the legislature, and I'm looking forward to the next 12 years as your senator. Thank you for your vote.
All right, thank you so much, gentlemen. Let's get straight to the most pressing issue right now, the saltwater wedge intrusion, because an emergency declaration has been declared. I want to ask you for your thoughts, and it's an important issue, so I'll give you each 60 seconds to talk about it. What would be your mitigation effort or proactive plan? Some experts say this may be an annual intrusion emergency. So what would you do to mitigate put a mitigation plan into effect? Mr. Owen, we'll start with you.
So one of the things that we really need to focus on is getting some kind of desalinization facilities set up, right there at the river. There's a reverse osmosis boat that's out on the river right now. The problem is it just doesn't have the capacity to run an entire parish. So we're going to have to look at some infrastructure going forward. There's just no two ways about it. In the meantime, I did donate several hundred cases of water down to St. Bernard just yesterday, and we'll be distributing that shortly. So we'll make an announcement when that happens.
All right, thank you, Mr. Owen. Mr. Garofalo, what is your plan? If you have a mitigation effort or plan that you would want to put into effect in place to prevent or be proactive about saltwater wedge intrusion?
As you know already, Sula, my district includes the East Bank of Plaquemines Parish already. So I've been working with the officials in Plaquemines Parish, the parish president, the parish president in St. Bernard Parish, and the mayor in New Orleans to make sure that we're able to cross-connect all the systems, to make sure that we're looking at how the intakes, how high they are in the river, and whether or not we can raise some of those intakes to avoid the salt water that tends to be on the bottom of the river. In addition, I'm sure you already know that New Orleans is running I think it's a 48-inch line upriver, up above Kenner. And in addition, Jefferson Parish is going to do the same thing, but they're going to run 4 12-inch lines with some lay-down pipe. I'm very deep on these issues because I'm kind of a geek, and I tend to look at the technical aspects of how we handle those situations. Mitigation-wise, we're going to have to continue looking at this. We've been dredging the river now for years to try to make sure that the Panamax vessels and the new vessels can go up the river. But we're also working on the legit port, which is the Louisiana International Gulf Transfer Terminal, which is off the coast, off the mouth of the river, which might be able to, in a big picture, we might be able to change the whole situation if we can enact that.
Okay, speaking of the port, let's talk about that. That's my next question is, do you support the port project in St. Bernard Parish? Yes or no, and tell us why, Mr. Owen. 30 seconds.
So, no, as of right now. They do not have the infrastructure in place at this current time to build such a large facility. If there was infrastructure and they put the port in a place that was a little more feasible, I think that would be a better option.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Garofalo, where do you stand?
With the right infrastructure, this project can work. Now, we want to do everything we can to minimize the impact to the residents of St. Bernard Parish. We have strong culture, we have strong history in St. Bernard. We don't want to impact that at all. It's the state legislator's role to make sure that he or she is looking at the big picture, not making rash decisions, not listening to innuendo. So at this point, my job is to make sure that I'm doing everything that I possibly can to have as minimal of an impact to St. Bernard Parish as possible. I believe that the infrastructure will occur. We have plans to do that, and there are also plans to do a business-to-business so that we can profit share and put a toll on the toll road and the trucks are willing to pay for it. So there's a lot of things that we can bring to the table to make sure that the infrastructure is in place to make that a successful project.
So it sounds like you support the port project.
I support it if the infrastructure's in place.
Got it. Let's move on to the next question. Mr. Garofalo, you made national headlines after a controversial statement in 2021. I ask because you're not shy about it. You mentioned it on your webpage and you've been talking about it. To quote you, you said the good, the bad, and the ugly of slavery, making national headlines, and then you were out as chairman of the House Education Committee. Since you're here, I'll give you 30 seconds to clear the air if you want. And what is your response to people who say you are too divisive?
30 seconds is not nearly enough to address this issue. Look, we brought the bill to stop the indoctrination in the classroom, something that no one else in the legislature was working on at the time. It was very important that that bill move forward. I was asked the question, what can you teach about slavery? And I answered exactly the way that I wanted to answer. You teach everything about slavery, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Well, my detractors, the people who didn't want that bill to pass, seized on the word the good and accused me of saying that there was good in slavery. I wasn't saying there was good in slavery. I was saying you teach everything regardless of whether it's good, bad, or ugly. People always use that phrase to describe the totality of the circumstances of whatever the given subject is. And that's exactly what I did. I said exactly what I meant, and I stand by what I said, and we have to pass that bill.
But you are clarifying here there is no good about slavery.
I'm not standing here. I will never stand anywhere and say that there was good in slavery.
Got it. Thank you so much. And to be fair, because I asked you that question, I will ask you a question too, Mr. Owen. I called some of your constituents and voters in your area, and they feel, for you, they say that you have not passed or authored a significant piece of legislation. I ask you knowing that you authored the Safe Path to School bill. Some of the lawmakers are saying that you are the back of the bench lawmaker. What is your response to critics who call you that?
So I've put forward several bills, dealing with all kinds of different subjects. They might not be necessarily the subjects that are in the news, in the headlines. A lot of the stuff I bring are medical bills. And they are pretty impactful. Like they really will, do things to lower insurance rates, save people money. I do a lot of natural resources bills. So I've helped out commercial fishermen. We've done bills that have expanded the use of waterways in the state. There's all kinds of different things that I've been doing for the past several years, and to say that is really kind of farcical.
All right, I'm going to give you 60 seconds for the next question because I think it's so important. Let's tackle insurance. This has been front page, making headlines. Some even saying they're going to hold a special session to address this issue. If elected, what is your plan to bring down these skyrocketing premiums for struggling families? Mr. Garofalo, we'll start with you. 60 seconds.
Not just after I'm elected. This past session alone, I brought 5 bills to address that. First off, we have expanded the fortified roofs and fortified homes program, and we made clear that if someone takes advantage of that, the insurance companies have to tell them what the amount of their discount will be. And we included multifamily residences as well as single-family residences. I brought a bill to strengthen the insurance fraud authority in Louisiana because we know we have a lot of fraud. We see the statistics all the time, and we need to do everything we can to root out that fraud and stop it. I brought a bill that would have, right now, Citizens is required to charge 10% over the market when they set their rates. Well, I brought a bill to take that 10% off below I-12 for those areas that were most significantly affected by Hurricane Ida, Hurricane Zeta, that are seeing the tremendous increases in their insurance bills. I brought a bill that would, and this is probably the one that I like the best, that would have set up a pre-tax account. So you know how you have your health savings account. It would have set up a catastrophe savings account that would have allowed an individual to put money aside in a savings account to use for catastrophes, so to either offset their deductible or to use to repair their dwelling or their commercial business.
All right, thank you so much. Mr. Owen, what is your plan to bring down these skyrocketing premiums?
So there's short-term fixes and long-term fixes. So short-term, honestly, one of the only things that we have out there right now that's going to bring insurance rates down in a short period of time for individuals is the fortified roof program. I was a big supporter of it. I think we need a little more funding to back it. And we also have to ensure that the insurance companies are actually going to lower their rates based on somebody getting a fortified roof. But it's also a great program too because it actually creates a new business in Louisiana. So it's kind of a double hit for what we can do for the state. Long term though, we have to decrease the number of claims. Bottom line. So one of the things that we can do is actually build the infrastructure at the Wrigley's to where you have a gate system that would actually protect the entire New Orleans and Lake Pontchartrain area. Just one of those alone would save hundreds of millions of dollars in claims, over just looking over the past 10 years.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much. Let's move on to the next question. 30 seconds for this. What is your plan, if elected, to address the coastal master plan? I know you've been talking about that, and your district, you claim, is going to be left out if there's a catastrophe. How would you address that? And also, what is your plan to secure funding for that project? 30 seconds.
So we're trying to get $4.5 million for a levee system in the Slidell area right now. 4.5 billion, I should say. I'm sorry. Yeah, so, but at the same time, a lot of those levee systems aren't necessarily the best, for the remainder of the areas around Slidell. So we really have to get some kind of good structure in place at the Wrigley's, which would really, you're taking all the storm surge issues out of play once you do that. As for the rest of South Louisiana, I think that, filling new island structures and also some types of river diversions are going to be helpful long term.
All right, thank you, Mr. Owen. Mr. Garofalo, what is your plan to address the Coastal Master Plan and secure funding for the project?
Been a member of the Governor's Coastal Advisory Commission for 12 years now. I was on the CPRA's, their corporate board for 4 years in addition to that, so dealing with where the money is going and allowing bonding out of some of the BP oil revenues. I have a really good grasp of what CPRA is doing along the coast. One of the things that we found out when Hurricane Isaac hit in 2012 was that when the water comes in, the water has to go somewhere. Building walls, building levees isn't the only solution. Geez, is it 30 seconds already? So what we're also looking at the possibility of elevating homes to get them out of harm's way, and that is a part of the proposal that we're looking at in St. Tammany Parish right now. So this is part of the big picture, and CPRA is constantly modeling the coast and constantly modeling different storm paths to determine the best use of the money that we're spending on the coast and where we're going to get the best bang for the buck.
Yeah, thank you so much. Let's move on to the next question. The workforce here in Louisiana struggling, and we are facing shortages everywhere. In the medical field, for example, they say we're going to be short 7,000 nurses. If elected, what is your plan to bring more workforce and skilled work into the state of Louisiana? 30 seconds. We'll start with you, Mr. Garofalo.
Well, again, I've already been doing it. We pushed through the Foster Promise program, which is being implemented right now in the LCTCS system. It's an important program that's allowing more and more people to go back and get education, particularly in the medical field. We just opened up the nursing school at Delgado. where a lot of students now are taking advantage of being able to go and use that new facility to enhance their education and or begin their education to move into a medical professional field. I think it's very important that we support our workforce. You said it. You know, we're trying to attract new business and industry into the state all the time. If we can't provide a trained and educated workforce, it's hard for us to go out and sell the state and to bring in this new business that we really need in the state.
Yeah, thank you so much. Mr. Owen, what is your plan to bring more workforce into the state? 30 seconds.
So education is really a key to this. You know, there's over 140,000 jobs out there right now that are available to people in the state, but you know, it's not because people don't want to get those jobs or work at those jobs. They just don't have the certification to do those jobs. So we have to get people into programs that, you know, even if they've been out of school for several years, get people back into these programs to get these certifications so they can fill these positions. Because I mean, you know, 140,000 jobs, just think of the tax revenue just from that alone.
Yeah, all right, thank you so much. Let's move on to the lightning round. I want to get to these questions before we run out of time. We'll start with you, Mr. Bob Owen. Just yes or no for these questions. What was your position on the casino? Did you support the casino, yes or no?
I didn't support the casino. I supported the ability for people to vote on the casino issue.
Mr. Garafello?
No.
Thank you. Mr. Garafello, do you support hyperdense development in St. Tammany?
Only if it's done smartly and with the proper infrastructure.
Mr. Owen?
No.
Okay. The library issue, pretty heated in St. Tammany. We'll start with you, Mr. Owen. Are you in support of restricting access to sexually explicit material for
Yes.
children at the library?
Yes.
What is your response to people who say this is going to start censorship and it may violate First Amendment rights?
So
Free
first of all, I don't want to look. You know, there's a lot of books that could be in a category of sexually explicit. I mean, you know, you were talking books like 1984, Catcher in the Rye. Ayn Rand, you know, is famous, you know, notorious for writing stuff. I don't want to ban those type of books. You know, those, you know, that's the slippery slope that nobody wants to get into. But at the same time, I don't want kids reading pornography. You know, it's and a lot of what's out there is straight pornography. So that, I believe, needs to be restricted.
All right, thank you. Mr. Garafello?
Absolutely, I'm in favor of banning those books. And in fact, I was one of the authors of the bill that would have allowed the local governing authority to remove library board members immediately if they're not responsive to the voting public like the elected officials on the council are. I went to the table with Representative Hollis on that bill, and that will be one of the first bills that I file when I make it to the Senate.
So you are in favor of banning the bills, not removing them to
No,
a certain restricted area of the
books,
library?
the books that are pornographic, that are, I don't know if you've seen them, but the books that we're talking about, not the books that Representative Owen's talking about, the books that are explicit would be put behind a firewall so that the children, anybody under 18, cannot see them without parental authority. We don't want to ban any books at all. We just want to make sure that children cannot see the pornographic material.
All right, thank you so much. Who are you supporting, Mr. Garafello, in the race for St. Bernard Parish President?
I haven't made my decision yet.
Who are you supporting, Mr. Owen?
I have not made my decision yet either.
Gentlemen, this is hot seat. You have to answer my question. Give me a name. In the race for St. Tammany Parish President, who are you supporting, Mr. Bob Owen? Remember, you're on the hot seat. They don't call it the hot seat for nothing.
I believe that Mayor Cromer actually is going to be our next parish president. I think he's going to do a great job.
So you're throwing your support behind Mayor Cromer, or candidate Cromer. Yeah.
For the most part, yes.
All right, thank you. Mr. Garafello, who are
I
you
haven't
supporting?
made my decision yet.
All right, okay, let's now move on to closing statements. You each have 30 seconds to tell us why you think you are the best candidate for the seat. Mr. Garafello, we'll start with you.
Well, I've already stated why I think I'm the best candidate for the position. What I will say is that I've been working really hard for the past 12 years representing my district as well as the state of Louisiana with the critical issues that are important to people when they're sitting around the table and talking. In addition to my voting record, I also have a very, very strong work record. Look, the time for good old boys and nice guys in the state legislature are gone. We need to elect workers who are going to fight for those values that we care about in the state of Louisiana. I am one of those workers, and I promise you that I will continue to work as hard as I possibly can to make sure that I'm representing you the way you want to be represented.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Garafello. And then, Mr. Owen, tell us in 30 seconds why you think you're the best candidate for the seat.
So, first of all, I was endorsed by the Alliance for Good Government, the Greater New Orleans Republican Association, the Chamber of Commerce, Louisiana Business and Industry Association, or lobbying Senator Patrick McMath, and as of today, Senator Sharon Hewitt, who currently holds the seat. I am going to continue to fight for Louisiana. I'm a consensus builder. I have been throughout my entire career, even outside of politics. And the last thing we need is more divisiveness in the political system. It's time to make a change. And I'm going to be there to fight for Louisiana, to fight for St. Tammany, St. Bernard, and Orleans Parish.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bob Owen, Republican, and also Mr. Ray Garafello. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for being here. Thank you for your time. Good luck with campaigning. And Election Day is October 14th. We'll have you covered on air and also online on WDSU.com.